They've been down this road before, haven't they? In fact, 6 times in the last 11 years, Real Madrid gather at Cibeles to once again celebrate Champions League success after bringing home the trophy, defeating Borussia Dortmund 2-0 yesterday at Wembley. Hello and welcome in to the latest edition of ESPN FC. I'm Dan Thomas, joined by Moreno and Shaka. Hislop. We also welcome to the programme Julien Laurens, who in a moment will give us all the latest on Kylian Mbappe's move to Madrid. But first, let's go to Alex, who's been partying with Real Madrid all day. It seems like they've run out of energy now. You're the last one standing, Alex.
No, the party is still going on, Dan, but down the road, not here at Cibeles. The players left here about 45 minutes ago. They got back on their open-top bus. They headed up the Castellana to the Santiago Bernabeu, and that's where they are right now. A full Bernabeu is celebrating this Champions League win with the squad in the final stage of, as you say, what has been an afternoon and evening of celebrations. As you mentioned, Dan, it's a very familiar route for these players. You feel like the bus driver could do the route blindfold pretty much. They go to the cathedral, they go to the local government headquarters, they go to the town hall here at Cibeles with the fans, and then finally at the Bernabeu. And that'll be it. That'll be the last bit of the celebrations and the last bit of what has been yet another incredibly successful season for Real Madrid.
God, it's a long old day to celebrate. We're getting a bit tired. You need a siesta halfway through. Alex, clearly the fans are not tired of it either, in their tens and thousands today, and as you say, a full Bernabeu in a moment.
Yeah, it was absolutely packed behind me at Cibeles. Like I say, as recently as 45 minutes ago, we're talking about in total maybe 500,000 fans lining the streets if you include every stage of the celebrations at these various locations, because like I say, they do kind of spread it out around the centre of town. So yeah, that means it's an awful lot of people. It was a gorgeous sunny day here in Madrid. I hope everyone stayed hydrated, because they were out there waiting for the players for a long time to get their glimpse of the champions of Europe. But yeah, a successful day all round. Like I say, at the end of a very successful season, a year in which Real Madrid have won the league, they won the Super Cup, they won the Champions League. Only the Copa del Rey really escaped their grasp. They only lost 2 games all season, both of them to Atletico Madrid, once in La Liga, once in the Copa del Rey. And in the Champions League, they went all the way. And yes, I know there are debates about how well did they play in the final, how well did they play in the knockout stage, were they the better side in various games. The fans here, they don't care about that all too much. What they care about is having that 15th European Cup.
Inevitably, when you have this sort of success this season, Alex, comparisons are made to other Real Madrid great sides. And there's a conversation now, isn't it, given that this team has won, 6 out of the last 11, that this is the greatest.
Yeah, it's remarkable, isn't it? And when it's happening in sort of real time and we're all kind of experiencing it, you take it a little bit for granted, don't you? And it's hard to get that perspective. But I think we'll look back in future years and think this was something truly special. Like I say, more often than not, in the last decade, Real Madrid have won the Champions League. And yes, the obvious comparison is going back to the sort of the birth of the European Cup and the birth of Real Madrid as the sort of institution they are today, winning those 5 European Cups in a row back in the 50s and 60s. But of course, the European Cup was very different then. It took much fewer games to win the European Cup. In a way, it's much more difficult to win it now when you look at the sort of opposition that they face, the number of games they have to play. But yeah, that's the comparison. It's the only comparison, really, because there isn't any other comparison for a team that's had this level of sustained success in the Champions League, in the European Cup, in what is the biggest competition in club football. And like I say, I know there are debates about the way the team has played as well. If they've always been the best team in Europe every time they've won the Champions League over the last decade. I'm not sure how much that matters, because the evidence, really, the proof is there in the trophy cabinet at the Santiago Bernabeu. And like I said, they've got 15 of these now. And yeah, I think we'll look back in the future and say this was one of the great sides. You look at some of these players, the fact that here, celebrating behind me at Cibeles not too long ago, you had 4 players, Toni Kroos, Luka Modric, Nacho Fernandes and Dani Carvajal, who each of them have won 6 Champions Leagues, 6 European Cups. That's as many as Liverpool, the club, have won. That's as many as Bayern Munich, the club, have won. And it's those sort of stats, I think, that sort of put it in some kind of perspective.
It's quite the evidence, isn't it, Jules?
Incredible. And we said it a bit last night after the game. If you look, even all sports combined together, you have to look at the Celtics, that great team from the Boston Celtics in the NBA, the great Yankees of 100 years ago even, and Celtics was in the 50s, 60s as well. So more recently, we've never seen any success like that. 16-10 or 16-11 between 2014 and 2024. It's just unseen before. And I just think you can look at the Zidane treble, of course, and that team with the BBC up front. that might have been better than this current one. Now with Bellingham and Vinicius, it's a different team, of course. But overall, over the last 10 years, in that decade, we've never had such a dynasty and such a legacy, really, apart from, again, the Yankees and the Celtics.
What do you think, Ali?
Well, the greatness of this club, I think, is shown in that one of the best players in the history in this game, Cristiano Ronaldo, walks out the door, they win a Champions League. Karim Benzema, Ballon d'Or winner, so on and so forth, he walks out the door, they win a Champions League. So it's beyond the individual talent that you come to expect to see in a team like Real Madrid. It is the club. The club is above everybody. The club is above every individual. The club is above any individual interest. And so as we spin it into the future, potentially the best player in the world is coming in the direction of Real Madrid, and that's Kylian Mbappe. So what happens with Kylian Mbappe, and how does he fit into the greatness of the club? Again, the club is a priority here.
If you're Real Madrid, you've got to be loving this conversation, because we are talking about their legacy, and the truth is we're comparing Real Madrid against Real Madrid. Or if we want to broaden it somewhat, we're comparing Real Madrid to Boston Celtics and the New York Yankees. That's just how ridiculous this moment in their history is. And I'm with Ali. This is about Real Madrid, the football club. This is not about the individuals. And while, yes, we could draw comparisons with the great Barcelona teams that included MSN in the front three, that's about individuals. Real Madrid, regardless of how and when we talk about them, the club is always a star. Yes, there have been incredible individuals who have come through and made their stamp on this legacy, but ultimately it's always the club that reigns supreme, and you speak about most passionately. That's a really great place to be, both now and in terms of what is to come. Ali mentioned, with Kylian Mbappe soon to arrive, we know what the discussion will be, because it always is Real Madrid.
Right. Let's not forget about the continuity of it all, the consistency of it all. See, there are many clubs that have ups and downs, that they'll win here, they'll win there, but maybe they have a down year. You're not allowed to have that at Real Madrid. That's not accepted. And even with all the excuses Carlo Ancelotti could have had in front of him, that were not excuses, were actual factual problems for this team. Big injuries to big players in important positions. Never was there a doubt that Carlo Ancelotti had control over all of this. Was there a doubt in terms of the level of play? Perhaps. But never was there a doubt that there was a plan in place. We put this in the context, and we always have to when we're talking about Spanish football, Real Madrid and Barcelona. You look at a club that has a plan in place in Real Madrid, even with all the injuries that Carlo Ancelotti had in front of him, and then a club that is going in every which way, and that's Barcelona. You tell me, leading into the future and heading into the future, who's heading in the right direction.
One last thing before we talk about Mbappe. Is Ancelotti regarded as the greatest ever Real Madrid coach, Alex?
He's right up there. He's right up there. I mean, this tends to be a club that the coaches haven't necessarily been the kind of the icons, if you know what I mean. It's been more about the players, of course, also presidents. You've got Florentino Perez now. You had Santiago Bernabeu in the past. Real Madrid coaches, like I say, haven't always had the spotlight. In fact, it's quite often been the opposite. I think you look at the trophies that Ancelotti's won in not one, but two spells, of course. He won the Champions League here in 2014. He's done it again twice in his second spell, and two doubles as well, winning the league and winning the Champions League. Ancelotti is right at the very top of that conversation. I think what gives you an insight into sort of the mentality at Real Madrid, what makes them different, is that last night, after the game, while the celebrations were only just getting started, really, Florentino Perez, talking to the media, was already saying this is where the road to the 16th European Cup starts next season. Literally minutes after the full-time whistle went, and Carlo Ancelotti was told about that and just laughed and said, that's what it's like here. It's relentless, and it absolutely is. But that's part of the mentality, I think, that has made this club what it is.